What's new, pussycat? Welcome to my channel. My name's Emma Cownley. I'm a freelance copywriter and blogger, and today I'm going to give you the inside scoop on how I track projects and invoices as per your request. That's right, somebody got in touch with me to ask me how I like to track projects and keep track of invoices and just day-to-day business stuff. What am I using? What are the systems? So today I'm going to lay it all bare, as well as some other systems that you can use if you don't like the look of mine. And by the way, can I just say Sabrinthia? What a great name. That's like the Megatron of names. That's like you've taken several really wicked names and combined them into one ultimate battle name. Good work. Now, before I give away all of the goodies, I would like to ask you to do a little something for me. Please don't forget to click the thumbs up on this video and give it a like so that YouTube knows that I'm not just full of shit. Okay, yes, I am full of shit, but I don't want YouTube to know that. Also, if you've watched a couple of these videos by now and you kind of like the cut of my jib, perhaps you'd like to consider subscribing. That also helps me out massively in the YouTube algorithm. Also, a quick reminder that I am on Coffee as well, so if you'd like to make a donation, because let's face it, this channel will never be monetized thanks to my flagrant use of blue language, you're more than welcome to make a donation. And with all of that done, let's move in to tracking things for your business, various systems that you can use so that you can stay on top of shit and really smash it out like a good one. First up, project tracking. Now, I don't know about you, but I've done quite a few large projects in my time, projects which cover multiple deliverables, and each one is going to be at a different stage of completion. And as a visual person, I find it really helpful to be able to physically see kind of like a progression taking place. So what I like to do, assuming that the client doesn't have their own kind of project tracking that they're wanting me to use, is I just make a simple Google spreadsheet and I put all of my deliverables down the far left hand side, and then I'll have a column for the status of that particular deliverable, and then I will include links for version 1, 2, 3, etc. of that document. I'm some kind of weird cretin. I don't like to keep going in and editing the same document over and over again and resubmitting that same document. Sure, it may be easier to keep track of the links if you do it that way, but I like to keep whole, complete, intact versions of drafts so that if I need to go back and lift a whole section, or we decide to completely change the direction, I have the original piece in its entirety, and I quite like that. So what I tend to do is copy the document, make a brand new version, do a V2 or a V3, and then pop the link on there. So the client has access to every single version of that document in its complete form, and they can also see how far down the list I've gotten, when I submitted that draft, etc. So it's really easy to see how far through the project we are and what stage each deliverable is at. Now, that's just the system that I've developed. I give everybody access that is involved in that project. I give them all access to that sheet so they can all see it. And that's just how I like to do things. Now, there may be a better way. I haven't discovered it yet. In the past, I've also made my own kind of bespoke calendars for different projects. There's this one particular client that I work with that had a campaign ongoing, and they needed various articles and press releases staggered throughout the course of the month for this campaign, and wrapping my head round the various timelines for each individual deliverable was absolutely blowing my mind. So what I did is I kind of took one of my big notebooks, opened it out, made my own calendar, and then kind of did each one color coded on the calendar, worked backwards from the final release date and made each one its timeline so that I could look at the calendar and physically see where we're at, and then move those deadlines over into my Trello board and organize the tasks there. If I can find the booklet that I made that in, I'll include a little snippet of video for you here. Okay, just a quick update. I actually did look for this timeline in my notebook, and it turns out I threw the notebook away when I moved house. So You're just going to have to imagine what it looks like in your mind's eye. But that's another way that you can do it, especially, again, if you're like me and you're a very visual person, you like to see the month as a whole and how it's going to play out. That's a kind of good way to look at doing things as well. I'd also like to divert your attention to the Pro Copywriter's website. There is a free project tracker available to download on that site. I think Tom Albrighton, I think he's the one that contributed it. Correct me if I'm wrong. If I am wrong, I'll just edit this whole bit out so you won't even know that I've made an error. But you can go on the website, you can download that and you can start using it for free as well. I would urge you, if you are regularly looking at Pro Copywriters reports and using their free resources, maybe it's time to join. I don't know. It's a little bit of tit for tat. Just putting it out there. Okay, so next up, I was asked, how do I keep track of invoices and make sure that I'm being paid on time? Well, that's a very good question. I used to completely manualize. Is that a word? Manualize? I used to have a very manual process when it came to tracking invoices. And not only was that very labor intensive, but things would often slip through the cracks because it's down to me to remember to trigger certain processes with regard to chasing people up and whatnot. Huge margin for error. And if there's a margin for error, I'll take it every time. I'll roll around in that margin and just really make the most of all the errors that I could possibly be making. I'll be making them. I'll be making them all. Also, it's really fucking awkward to chase for a late payment. I don't know if you ever had to do it. Just write in that email, try not to come off as a dick or a money-hungry debt collector, but also you really fucking need that money because it's screwing with your balance sheet and they've gone over your terms, so really they are in interest territory now, and you have to write that email and be like,
hey, hope you're well. Just to remind you, you've not paid this invoice for 38 days. I'd really love to get that money.
And when you have to write those emails, it's so easy to come off as being really passive and use a lot of really evasive language, which makes it sound like you're not serious about getting that money. And at the end of the day, freelancers have to be serious when we're talking about money. We have to be cut and dry, no bullshit. So you're kind of faced with no other option than to write an email that's like, where's my money, bitch? Where's my fucking money? So long story short, I started using a fancy paid for accounting software. I use Xero, and Xero is amazing because it integrates with your bank feed. So it pulls all of your business account transactions in and makes it super easy to reconcile them because they will use AI to kind of match the transactions to whatever you've input yourself in your invoices or in recurring bills that you usually pay with your business. It will be like, hey, I think this might be a bank charge from NatWest. Is that right? And you'll be like, yes, it is. And you can just go boff, 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 boff and reconcile everything, and it's beautiful because you can clearly see who's paid you and what you have paid for. But more than that, it shows you which invoices are outstanding and by exactly how many days that invoice is late. And you can set up payment reminder emails. So I've got one client that's particularly bad at paying on time, so I've set up a string of 5, and that's the maximum you can do, so that's impressive. 5 reminder emails that trigger intermittently every certain number of days. I can't remember, I think it might be every 14 days. It triggers another reminder email and it's automated. So it's very clear that this email is coming from a machine. You can't argue with a machine. A machine is going to sound very professional, blank, formulaic because it's a machine. So I don't have to worry about coming off as a dickhead or being like, hey, this is the 3rd reminder, I'd really love to get paid, like groveling for my money like some kind of little simpy bitch. No siree. The software takes care of all of that for me. I don't even have to remember to remind these people. It just triggers them automatically, so I can clearly see what's outstanding. And it makes it super, super easy, and it's basically changed my life because I don't know if you know this, but I fucking hate maths. And if there's any way for me to become confused about maths or mess up a system, as I said, I'll fucking do it all day long. So if you're a new freelancer and you're thinking about processes that you'd like to implement or softwares that you'd like to implement when you go freelance, a really good bookkeeping software is an absolute must. I cheaped out for the first 2 years, maybe even 3 years of freelance life, and it was awful. It was horrible. It took me fucking ages to get anything done. And in business, as I always like to say on this channel, every hour in your day is a billable hour. So if you're spending a lot of time doing business admin, trying to get your shit together because all of your finance processes are manual, you're stealing from your own revenue. You're preventing yourself from maximizing how much you can earn in a day. So the more you can automate, the better. And also, machines are less likely to make mistakes than you or I. Just speaking for myself here, I don't know. Something to think about. And finally, how do I like to organise my days? Now, anybody on this channel who is a fan of my Filofax videos, and there are quite a few of you, which I find really hard to believe, and I'm so happy that you exist. You may think that I'm using my Filofax for every single business day-to-day organisation, but I'm actually not. My main go-to is Trello. I've been using Trello since like 2014, I want to say, maybe even 2015, a long time. Most of my professional copywriting career, I've been using Trello. And I've kind of developed a system. I've mocked up a board for you here so that you can see without looking at my private things. I start on the left-hand side of the screen with my job and task pipeline. Every time a new task comes in, I'll write up a ticket for it and slot it into my little weekly flow. I tend to book things out in days and half days because that's the cleanest, neatest way to do it. And if I have any extra time, I'll kind of slot some extra bits in there. As you can see, I label the pipeline with the week starting, and then I have color codes for each of the days. So Monday is green, Tuesday is yellow, etc, etc. So visually I'm able to see what day I'm on and what day I've booked a task in for. And if you have watched my Filofax video, you'll know that I've actually color coded the days in my Filofax to match this system, just so that my mind is kind of seamlessly moving. Oh, you know, Friday is purple, Thursday is red type of a thing. And as I reach each day, I move the tasks over to doing, so I can easily see what I'm supposed to be doing for that day. And obviously you can add deadlines to this, you can add attachments to these, you can add notes to them. It's really very fancy. And when I've submitted that first draft or second draft, I move it over into pending, and then I'll obviously move it back to doing if I have another round of amendments to tackle. And when it's all done, I'll move it to done. And then once it's been paid, I'll remove it from done and it's gone from my life. So that's the system that I use. And as a fun little kind of piece of delight, I like to change the background photo seasonally. So at the moment, as you can see, I've got this fun little summer design just to make it feel a bit more current. It helps to refresh the board as well, like keep it feeling different and new and exciting when you can change the background like that. I don't know. I also have the Trello app on my phone, so if I'm away from my desk at any point and I have an idea or I remember something that I want to do, I'll just add it on there on my phone and it updates on my desktop. So Trello truly is magnifique. Now, if you can't get on with Trello or you can't find a Trello system that suits you, why not try Notion? I've taken the liberty of finding a Notion template for you here that is based around freelance task organization. And I think there are a lot of other Notion templates that you can find and download and kind of start using. And that is another one that has an app that you can use on your phone, and you can invite people to join and send the link around and stuff. It's very customizable. So customizable, in fact, that it's blown my mind and I'm not able to use it because I feel like I'd spend more time customizing Notion than I would using it. But it's another one to consider. It might be something that you do over the weekend or an evening where you just take it and you kind of input all of your stuff and spend some quality time really getting yourself settled in before you start using it. So that is another option for you. And that brings me to the end of the video. I hope you found this useful and that you found something that maybe you'd like to take away and start using. If you do, leave me a comment below or find me on Twitter or LinkedIn and tell me all about it. I love getting comments and messages from you guys. I've had quite a few people reach out on LinkedIn recently and send me a connection request and a message about which video they've come off of to come find me and add me. and it's so nice. Like, it really lifts my heart, and as a depressed gothic character, that's really saying something. And the power is in your hands. So now that we're done, I guess there's nothing else to say but see you back here, same time, same place in 2 weeks for more Kiss My A's. Until then, take care and peace out.